Good day everyone! Welcome again to our English for academic and professional purposes for Module 2, Week 2, and this week we are going to talk about the common academic text structures, the way we write things in different ways. And then again, my name is Sir Wright Castillo, the Mr. Stark and Iron Man of Bansud Institute. And now for our learning objectives, we are going to learn, you will be able to identify the different kinds of academic text structure and also to appreciate different kinds of academic text structures. Not just you identify, but also you're going to appreciate, oh, this is the way it is written. And then you will be able somehow to use proper academic text structures in your own writing. When you write your reflection, when you write a story, when you write a narrative, when you even write your posts in Facebook or in other social medias. So this is going to be helpful to enhance your writing skills. So let's talk about the common text structures in academic writing. Now, what is a text structure? Text structure, it refers to the internal organization of a text. Also, the organization an author uses when presenting information. Whatever inside those literary piece, such as story, newspaper, articles, narratives, and any kinds of literary structure or writing, how it was organized, how it was written, how it was presented, especially how it was creatively wrote by the authors and its original intended meaning. Remember, as authors write a text to communicate an idea, they will use a structure that goes along with the idea. So every author has a different style of methods and different way of presenting their idea. And that is what we call the text structure, the organization of the text when we are writing something. So the common structure, academic text structure, remember, it is important to understand that there is no official list of text structures. There's no such thing as, oh, we only have 5 common text structures, or 6, or 2, or 3. Because there are a lot of evolving literary style right now, and we really cannot come up with an idea that there's only 5, 3, 2, 1. It depends about the intention of the author. It depends also to our resources in the internet, in our books or references, or other things that we can get some ideas regarding academic text structure. So there's no official list. And because this is the primary reason, there are different writers who have different lists of text structures. Remember that. I may have a different list. I may have 9. Other teachers might have 2 or 3 or 4. But it depends upon the writers. Alright? So, number 1, let's talk about the first common text structures, and it is the most common and the easiest, I think, is the chronological order, also known as time, order, sequence, or temporal order. From the word itself, chronological, chronos, which means time. So it talks about the time, the season. It can even a year, a date, a month, anything that goes with order. And when we say chronological order, from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, from first, second, third, finally, it depends upon. But the idea here is it is chronologically presented. Alright, there's a time from year 1 to year 2, from year month January to December. It depends upon the time presented by the writers. And these structures is organized from one point in time to another. Right? For example, we are when you write something about yourself last time, it depends upon your presentation. You can begin with your early childhood, your infancy, and then go with your teenage years, and then your adolescent period, and then the current time that we get to know about yourself today. All right, so it depends upon your presentation. It can be you can begin to any point in time. It depends upon your presentation. All right, so the idea here is from one point to another. Okay, so it does not necessarily mean that it can be year only. Okay, so it can be a steps, it can be a months or years or day or weeks. It depends upon the given situation. All right, so keywords or the transition words that that are commonly used in chronological order text structure are the following, such as first, next, later, and finally, are included to help the reader understand how events relate to one another. All right, so when we see something or we see a writing, and then it has a first, a second, a third. The first paragraph says that this is the introduction. The second paragraph is about the first, and and then and the following, the second, the third, and then finally the keywords there that we need to find in order to identify this structure as a chronological order are the following, such as first, next, later, finally, and other transitional words or keywords. Okay? So it can also, as I said earlier, it can be also considered the dates and times. All right, it can also be used. And then, for example, year 1991 in the beginning, when I was born in 1991, and then when I was in elementary school during the early 90s or 2000s. So it depends upon your presentation. So again, as I also mentioned earlier, this is one of the easiest text structures for students to understand since it matches the way that they experience in the world. All right, like again, just like about yourself. Okay, it's all about your experiences, and sometimes you want to tell your story in a chronological manner. Okay, you want to begin with your past, the early past, like your childhood, your teenage days, and then the existing year right now. So here's an example for as an example of a paragraph that uses a chronological order text structure. Let me read it for you. Have you ever made macaroni and cheese? It's simple. First, boil some water and make some macaroni. Then make your cheese sauce. After the cheese sauce is ready, mix it with the macaroni, bake the entire thing in the oven, and finally, it's time to eat. Right? So this is a step-by-step order in order to make a macaroni. And we see a chronological order here because it has indicators written on this literary structure, such as the first, the then, the after, and the finally. Okay, so those are the keywords as I mentioned earlier. It is not a limit to what I mentioned earlier. It can be more. All right, so it's up to you to research more about transitional words and keywords for chronological order. Secondly, let's talk about the cause and effect. This text structure shows how one or more causes led to one or more effects. Sa Tagalog, yung sanhi at saka yung bunga. Alright, the cause is why it happened. The effect is what happened. Cause, anong nangyari? Paano nangyari? Bakit nangyari? Okay? And effect, ano ang nangyari? Alright, so, ano ang nangyari? What happened? Effect. Okay? Bakit nangyari yan? Cause. Okay? So, kumbaga, sa Tagalog nga, sanhi at bunga. Okay? Kapag ikaw ay nakakita ng pasa sa mukha, anong cause? Kasi may sumuntok sa iyo. Anong bunga? Yung pasa. Okay? So, parang ganun. Ikaw ay hindi kumain maghapon. Yun, Anong bunga? Ikaw ay nagutom. Okay, so that's the cause and effect. Okay, so commonly, this is also a common text structure that we can find more in a research, in a narrative or storytelling. So this structure also has a strong time component. So it has time component, like days and years. So it can be right. There's no such thing as one common text structure in a paragraph or in a book or in a story. They can mix together and you can use everything. Okay, that's the point. All right, and then so here are the keywords and transition words: cause, effect, as a result, consequently, and because are used. And time order transitions are also used, which can lead to some confusion for students. And another complication is that many texts do not include just one cause, leading to one effect. Instead, there may be several causes and several effects. Okay, it cannot be minimized into one. The cause can be causes, and the effect can be effects. All right, so it's just we do not limit it to one. Can be more. Okay, now here's an example. Let me read this paragraph. The night snowstorm had many effects. People were out shoveling snow from their sidewalks. The power lines were trapped with ice. Snow plows drove down every street. Children were the happiest of all. The unexpected snow caused school to be canceled. Okay, so what's the effect? The night snowstorm had many effects. Okay, so people were there's the first effect. One, people were out shoveling snow from the sidewalk, so they're cleaning up the sidewalk because it was covered with a lot of snows, and the power lines were dropped with ice. Like para sa atin yung mga Ormeco, meron ng mga balot-balot na rin ng yelo. And snow plows drove down every street. Okay, so yung ganun yung kanilang kalsada also covered with ice, and children were the happiest of all. Because they get to play outside and make a snowman and throw some snowballs to one another. So it can also be fun to them despite of the negative effects of the snow. So what's the cause? The unexpected snow caused school to be canceled. So meron tayong mga keywords dito, the effects and cause. So it's really common sense to identify this paragraph as a cause and effect because the word cause and effects are already here. Okay, so maybe you can say as a result, consequently. So those other keywords we can use to explain the cause and effect of something. Okay. Now, let's go to number 3, which is the problem and solution. Another common. It's really common because especially stories, narratives, okay? So, we always present a problem and we always have a solution to that story, okay? So, this text structure presents a problem and shows how it can be or has been solved, all right? The structure can be confused with cause and effect, okay? Because sometimes cause can be the problem and the effect can be the solution or vice versa. Okay, as you can see in this illustration below, this is the common order of a story. There's an exposition, there's a problem, there's a rising action, there's a climax, there's a falling action, and there's a solution. Okay, so every story has this problem and every story has a solution, okay, to their problem. So that's for example, our problem today is students cannot go to school and conduct classes in the campus with the teacher, of course, and because of the ongoing pandemic. So what's the solution? The solution is the schools today are making the classes interesting by offering a lot of modalities such as online classes, modules, and others that can reach the students' interests and to remind them that in this kind of modalities, no one will be left behind. That's our school. Okay? So the problem and solution, the key difference that problem and solution always has a solution. Okay? So there's no such thing as writing with just a list of problems, but you always provide a solution. Okay? So it is inseparable. When you write something, when you write a problem, you also provide a solution to that problem. And what are the keywords that we may encounter or we may use in writing a problem and solution style of writing in or text structures? Transitions may include problem, solution, solve, also effect, hopeful, and so forth. And other words, alright? So the problem, okay, in the middle, who, why, how, when, and the solution, what if, and then the solution. Okay, so that's the common presentation or order of a problem and solution text structure. Alright, now let me give you another example. Park School had a terrible problem. Every day at recess, students would argue over the slides. Teachers had to spend time every day taking care of the arguments. Finally, one teacher came up with a great solution. They bought another set of slides that everyone could enjoy. Alright? So, it is written there, terrible problem. So, this is a problem, and you can also see there's a great solution. I highlighted the sentence with the sentence pertaining to problem and the sentence pertaining to the solution. Okay? Though there's a transitional words, but it can also be identified in the sentence form. All right. So every day students would argue over the slide. So because there's only few slides there. So what the schools did, in order for the students not to argue with the slides anymore, so they could share more to one another, what the school did is they bought another set of slides that everyone could enjoy. More slides. Few slides, the solution, more slides. That's very simple. This is a common problem and solution text structure. Alright? So now this time, let's talk about compare and contrast. Another common kind of text structure. This text structure shows how two or more ideas or items are similar or different. This text structure is also fairly easy for students to understand. The text may use a cluster approach, meaning to say you can give set 1, this is it, this is him, this is her. Set 2, that is him, that is her, that is it. Okay? So, and then see the differences between them to that cluster, and then the set 3 would be the similarities between the two different thing, animal, person, places, or any such thing. Okay, so with details about one topic followed by details about the other. The text may also show an alternating approach with the author going back between the two topics. Like for example, my personal example, okay? So the difference between the face-to-face class and the new normal class. Okay, so the difference is face-to-face, you got to talk with one another personally. But in the new normal class, you got to talk to one another virtually. And there's similarities between those different style of classes is that they are both class. Okay? And they are both conducted by the school, and they are both taught by a teacher. Alright? Now, and like for example, down below, okay, so you can see the topic of the two different dogs, the Saint Bernard and then the cockapoo, right? So the other one is large, the other one is small, the other one drools a lot, the other one not a big drooler, the other one eats a lot, the other one small eat a few, and the other one sheds a lot, and the one not a lot of shedding. But both of them does not bark a lot, and both of them is friendly, and both of them is intelligent. So that is an example of compare and contrast and clustering approach, okay, using Venn diagram. For the keywords and transition words, you may include using like, similar, unlike, on the other hand, also, and to. And the other one I included there. So the comparison and contrast. So you can use any transition or keywords to identify your structure as a compare and contrast one. Okay? So compare and contrast paragraphs are often embedded in other text structures as an author needs to explain a similarity or difference. So when you say embedded in other structures, it can be found in problem and solution. It can also be found in description, and it can be found to other common text structures. Alright, that's not just the one I mentioned earlier, but also to other that I will mention later. Alright, so compare contrast. Here's an example. The cardinal and the cedar waxwing are two common birds. So we have two common birds. Both have crests on their heads. Both are common at bird feeders. But the birds have some differences. The male cardinal is a bright red, while the waxwing is brown. The cedar waxwing often migrates from place to place. On the other hand, the cardinal stays in one place year after year. Okay, so where are the keywords there? The both pertaining to similarity, the but, the while, and on the other hand, pertaining to differences. So this is just an example, and you can use other keywords, transitional phrases, in order to identify your text as a compare and contrast. Alright, number 5, let's talk about description. Description, this text structure shows what an item or place is like. A list of properties or adjectives that could be used to identify a person, place, or object. In this kind of paragraph, the author offers a main idea, statement, and then supports the statement with several details. So, what does the author really is talk about? Okay, so what's the main idea? So, what is it all about? This text. Okay, and then there's the main idea. Okay, this story is all about the pandemic. Okay, so and then supported with several ideas. Pandemic gives us makes us close together as a family. Pandemic makes us tough and strong. Pandemic makes us innovative in a lot of things. Okay, so that's the main idea, and that's the details. It's just simple. You're describing something. Okay, you have this main idea, and you are going to describe that. All right, so you are going to focus on that something, supported by a lot of details. You can use adjectives, as I mentioned earlier, okay, or a list of properties. Okay, so here are the keywords and transition words in this structure. Might include spatial words such as next to, on top of, beside, and so forth. Okay, so description can be what is it, the introduction, the characteristic, what does it look like, what can it do, what are the special features, and of course the conclusion, closing statement. Alright, so that could be a pattern or an order for writing a description text structure. Here's an example. The pond was a beautiful place to visit. The falling leaves, all different colors, decorated the surface of the water. At the edges of the pond, small wildflowers grew. The golden forest glowed faintly in the distance. So, here we are talking about the pond. And then it is supported with a lot of details talking about the pond. The pond was a beautiful place with the falling leaves, with different colors, decorated the surface of the water. The edge of the pond was small with wildflowers. It's like the golden forest glowed faintly in the distance. So, we just talk about the pond, and we describe the pond with a lot of things, according probably to the author's perspective or the author's experience when he personally visited that pond. that pun, right? So now let's talk about the other common text structures. We also have enumeration, alright? So enumeration is just listing parts and characteristics of examples. Just like when you are talking when you are writing an exam, there's a part there that you list all about something, right? For example, what are the common academic text structures in writing? Number 1, enumeration. Number 2, classification. Number 3, thesis evidence, definition, compare and contrast, problem solution, and so on and so forth. Chronological order. Okay? So that's enumeration. You just list something and then you talk about that thing. Okay? One by one. Number 7 is classifications. Present groupings, types, classes, categories. This is evidence, argues, points, interpretation. You're just classifying something. You're just grouping the ideas. Okay? So, and then you present them. Okay? So, that's classification. Number 8 is thesis evidence, argues, points, and interpretation. So, this is just more of a formal writing. This is evidence. Okay? When you talk about thesis evidence, your supporting idea that supports your main argument and your main idea. Okay, just like when you are in the court, okay, law court, wherein the attorney presents the evidences against the accuser or the victim or whomever that other side. Okay, so that's just like that. Okay, they are presenting the evidences to support the main idea or the thesis statement. Number 9 is the easiest one, I think so. Personally, for me, the definition. It's just explaining the nature of something. You're just defining what is a pun, what is pandemic, what is new norm class, what is Bansud Institute, what is lily, lilac, or lotus. It's just the definition. You just give the meaning of it and then you describe it as want, okay, as far as you want. Okay, all right, so that are the other common text structures. This is the 6, 7, 8, and 9, but the common ones are the one I mentioned earlier: the chronological order, the problem solution, the compare and contrast, and so on and so forth. Those 5 are the common text structures. All right, so again and again, there are other probably common text structures which depends upon the author. I just presented to you 9 this week, and probably enough for you to prepare you for something, okay? Because in this subject, you are going to write more, okay? Because this is an English for academic purpose and professional purposes, okay? So for your weekly assessment, you are going to identify the common structures of each paragraph and underline the proper keywords. For example, let's go back to the cardinal and the cedar waxwing. Okay, those are common words, and as we can see, here are the underlines. Okay, you are going to underline the proper keywords for this, and of course, the answer for this paragraph is the compare and contrast. Okay, so I'm going to give you the answer sheet, all right, online. Or you can have it when you get the modules personally on site in the school. Okay, so this is just an example on how you are going to do it. I'm just going to give you 5 examples, 5 paragraphs, and then you are going to identify what kind of academic structure it is. Okay, is it problem solution, compare contrast, chronological order, definition, enumeration, and so on and so forth. And then of course, you are going to underline the keywords, key phrases, or key sentences. Okay? So that's it for us this week. Thank you very much for listening. Then again, this is English for academic and professional purposes week number 2, module number 2, which is the common academic text structures. I hope this really gives you a lot of understanding of how to write properly and creatively. Okay? So, then again, my name is Sir Wright A. Castillo, the Mr. Stark and Iron Man of Budget Institute. If you have problems, questions, just feel free to contact me to the following. Okay, so just contact me to the following. And thank you very much again for listening. And again, we love you 3000.